Okay, and this is about the basics of music production programs, and I don't want to spend too much of your time here going over this. This is just kind of to complement the article. If you're not watching this on the webpage, the blog is themusicproducerdude.com, and this is for one of my articles about basics of music production. This is just kind of a visual thing. Now I've get rid of that. I tried to do this video once before and managed to run into 16 minutes, and I really don't want to do that again, so I'm just going to kind of try and breeze through this as much as I can and give you a visual to go along with the article. So to start with, talking about, in the article I talk about arranging pieces of sound, loops. In this case, this is just pieces of loops right here. I'm going to grab one. And going back over what I said about tracks, in the old days they had the multi-track tape decks, and basically how those worked is that you'd have, well, at the minimal you really needed 3 to do anything beyond just messing around. You needed 3, and the way it would work is you would let's use the Rock Band example. Uh, you'd record the drummer first, usually, and then the next person, usually the bassist, to complete the rhythm section, would come along, and he would be listening to the drummer's recording on the first track and recording onto the second, and then both of those tracks are played at the same time while the third track records, and then that recording, the two recordings are, the other two are blanked out, so that the next person, like the guitar player, rhythm guitar, to keep building up the song, plays while listening to the rhythm section that's been laid down, and then that's all played back into the third one that's recording, on and on and on until everybody's got their pieces down. Now, once again, showing you already right here how easy it is to just grab things and paint them in, how these programs work with the sound files. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks basically that I've just literally grabbed and dropped in here and painted them in. Well, painted in the, kind of, sort of. And that's obnoxious, but I'm not trying to make anything good. I'm just showing you how this works. And, that's how easy it is to start arranging. Once you start doing this, you move things around and you get into the real arrangement and production of that sort of stuff. Next would be the volume control. Let's kind of zoom in here. Well, that's another nice feature of this program. I use Acid Music Studio. It's in the $50-$60 range, but I like it. It works for my purposes. I don't need a lot of fancy stuff because I don't really like working with the complicated effects and trying to use the realistic looking software that represents synthesizers and stuff. I just mess around with loops mainly. But anyway, volume. So right over here you can see that there is a slider for volume that affects this entire track, which is nice. There's also right down here is a master volume that affects everything. That'd be the whole song. But then in this program it's called a volume envelope. But you can actually go in real close, and in this one you can actually get in real close. And let's say that I like the first bit right here up until this point, but I don't like these two little bits right here, so I can add in points, and I can drop the volume out just on these two. So you can do some really in-depth fine-tuning on your volume by using that sort of thing, and this sort of feature is something I definitely think you should look for. And then the exact same thing, in the article I talk about pan, left and right speaker channels and center. And you can basically do the exact same thing, at least in this program it works pretty much the same way. You have a slider right here that allows you to shift an entire track left or right. And then you can also move in with an envelope. It's called a pan envelope in this case. And let's say I want to bounce these pieces of sound, or this parts of the track, I want to bounce them back and forth. So adding in points, just like with a volume, at least that's how this one works. You know, and this program is real good because it's pretty easy to use. And just like that, I have it set up right now so that if I played this, and if you were listening to it, you'd hear, you know, these pieces of the sound bouncing from one side of the speakers, playing, you know, from left to right, or vice versa, and back again, depending on how much I wanted to do this. I can pause this video right quick and show you a song that uses a lot of that. Okay, this is a song of mine called Grinder Shoot, because the main loop through it is called Mean Mr. Grindy. And as you can see right up in here, these are pan envelopes, so I did a lot of work with going in and making elements of this sound bounce back and forth. Okay, so that's just an example of how much work you can do. You know, it just depends on how much work you want to do, really. You know, probably the most extreme example is these ones right here. I literally have every single sound bouncing from one speaker channel to the other, left and right. So I did a lot of work on that. You know, you can see just how much effort it took to do all that. Luckily on this one, you only have, you know, unless you want to switch it up, you only have to do it once, and then you can copy it and then paste it again, which is nice. So those are, oh yeah, and then effects, of course. Duh. Let's take a look here. Just going by basic effects, you know, you definitely want to have like reverb, at least some ability to affect the equalization, which is your low, middle, and high frequencies. And you know, those are you at least want to be able to mess with those. It's better to have more sliders for EQ, so you can mess around with the frequencies more finely than that. You know, but definitely some basic effects built into this the program. So those are the basics of music production programs in general, and definitely if you're going to be buying one, look for programs that at least have those features. More features always better, but at least those features, because if you can at least arrange songs, change the volume level, change which speaker channel sounds are coming out of, and apply some effects, and be able to do all that with some reasonable amount of ease, it's not worth money. So that's what you're looking for. Those are the basics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.